no problem of mine. It's a problem I find, living a life that I can't leave behind. There's no sense in telling me the wisdom of a fool won't set you free. That's the way that it goes, it's what nobody knows, while every day my confusion grows. Every time I see you falling, I get down on my knees and pray. I'm waiting for that final moment to say the words that I can't say. I feel fine and I feel good. I feel like I never should. When I get this way, I just don't know what to say. Why can't we be ourselves like we were yesterday? Well, I'm not sure what this could mean. I don't think you're what you seem. I admit to myself, if I hurt someone else, I'll never see just what we're meant to be. Every time I see you falling, get down on my knees and pray. I'm waiting for that final moment to say the words that I can't say. Every time I see you falling, get down on my knees and pray. I'm waiting for that final moment to say
I probably should unmute my microphone, huh? Is that better? Nice. That was like me practice speaking. TikTok heard it, which is good. Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here. Who does a show and doesn't unmute their microphone? This guy. I need a producer. Who's going to be the producer? Chloe's trying, but that's a lot on her plate. She's already trying to see the bucket. That's classy. I'm just going to go ahead and move that off screen. Perfect. Shadow. JR, Johnny, Liz. So nice to see you guys. I think Napalm might be over here. Or is that Ray? Hey, Ray. Jinx, you owe me a pop. Have you guys ever heard that? We're going to go right back into it again, apparently. You know, I kind of want to have that synth wave going on in the background as we start this. I like the music. Ooh, Dune. That'll be good. Let's go to this song right here. Turn this down quite a bit. Just have it in the background. Is the production work that I need done something that can be done remotely? I don't think so. It's really just kind of a coordination thing, but eventually something like that, that'd be awesome. Owe me a Coke. Owe me, OH me, a Coke. Yeah, you owe me Coke. Jinx, you owe me a Coke. Jinx, you owe me a pop. Yeah. You know your old win. That's a thing you used to say. So I'm going to have to say this a few times, but those of you on TikTok, we're doing the live stream on YouTube as well. And the benefit of being on YouTube is that I'm live streaming a screen share option. So a lot of the videos, because we're going to run over a bunch of videos and clips and articles and stuff. So you'll be able to see all of that on the YouTube. And a lot of the families over there. So a lot of the VOR communities over there. So if you want to dialogue and have the chat going, we've got a dozen people in there so far. And there'll be more. Cody Parrott. Yes. Everybody welcome Cody, please. Cody was on the live show we did from the backyard today. And he asked about aliens. So I told him to come on the show tonight because I'm going to discuss, basically I did a quick breakdown of how ridiculous the idea of life coming from non-life is, in my opinion anyways. And so I'm going to cover that tonight, and I wanted him to see it, so I'm really glad he's here. You gave me 10 minutes earlier. Hopefully you give me 2 hours tonight. Not that I'm asking too much, but this discussion for me, the 60s conspiracy is so much fun. The Washington, D.C. stuff is so important. But this series we started yesterday, what I'm calling Scientism, is really dear to my heart because for those of you that don't know, my father was murdered when I was 17, and I was already having a toxic relationship with God. It was already like, what's the point? Like I would, sin. I had girlfriends and stuff and myself because, you're a teenager or whatever. And I just always was just so beat up. And I was a pro snowboarder at the time. And every time I would get hurt, my mom would say, are you being obedient to God? I'm like, of course not. Like, well, that's why you got hurt, right? So I was already strained. It's like this God idea is really burdensome, right? And then my mom, who was a religious fanatic, got brain cancer. I don't know if that's how you say it. And that was an excruciating death, 2-year thing, really soul trying, obviously. So it's safe to say that after the dad thing, and then the mom thing, I was pretty upset about the idea of God. I was over it. Hello, Bethany. Good to see you, Jackie. Just so you guys know, with the breathing thing, it's not like I'm nervous or something. this little cold that we've had, it's like it makes it more laborious to breathe. So I'm not nervous talking to my TV. I know you guys are here, but just like a little bit extra breathing going on. But anyways, so what happened is I basically was just done with God. Like done, like double deuces in the sky, done, right? And after my dad was murdered, I was eating a banana and I was like, wow, a banana. This thing is individually wrapped. It's perfectly wrapped so it doesn't get, oxidation and brown up. And I was like, how would that work evolutionarily? Because like once I bailed on God, it was like, of course, evolution, right? That's the alternate agenda or the alternate scenario you have. And so I just realized how ridiculous it is that all of the fruit that we eat is individually wrapped and packaged, right? Like Twinkies. So I'm like, okay, maybe there's a God. And then after my dad died, after my mom died, I was looking at the moon one day. And it occurred to me, the moon and the sun are the same size in the sky. In the Bible, it says that God made the light by day, which is the sun, and light by night, which is the moon. And the moon is made of reflective dust. And I'm like, all right, maybe there is a design to this universe, and I've got it wrong who God is. Maybe I'm like making the wrong deductions here. Maybe I'm like imposing this traditional idea of who God is. And so all of this information that I'm going to show you tonight was vital in me reconciling back to the Father. When I just realized, like, okay, you made this. What does that mean? So this is hundreds and hundreds of hours of research. And I don't mean that lightly. I'm not just saying, I mean hundreds of hours of research. Jason Lyle, Answers in Genesis, which I'm not a big fan of those guys. Kent Hovind, Ken Ham, all these guys. I've consumed this information for 20 years now. And I'm going to try and break it down as quickly as I can. Tonight, we're only going to cover cosmogony. I thought about this. I want to do evolution in the next talk, because we're going to cover tonight from the Big Bang to basically the formation of DNA. And that should be 2 hours. So in that, Cody, we will be covering what I said in that live earlier, how ridiculous it is that life came from non-life, and the idea that science has figured this out, because that's what you need to have happen in order to have aliens or life on Earth. You have to have life come from non-life, right? So if you remember yesterday, what we were talking about was how science has basically come out and said, we figured out how this reality works. We have the science behind it. And if you don't believe what we tell you, you're an idiot or you're crazy, right? We figured this out, and you have to believe what we say about it. And if you don't believe what we say about it, you are intellectually incapable of being even a good citizen, right? This is what we covered it for 2 hours last night. You have to believe them. You can't question them. Okay. Now let me ask you this. How is it any different for scientists to say you have to believe us and you can't question us? How is that any different than a religious person saying God is real, you have to believe that, you can't question us? It's the same methodology. And the methodology is this: we don't know. We don't know how we got here. We don't know when we got here. We don't know what the purpose is. We have to choose to believe something, right? We have to choose to believe whatever we think is the best preponderance of evidence. It's like a court trial constantly. Is it made? Is it an accident? Is it God? Is it something else? Is it aliens? What is it, right? So the big point of tonight is to show you how ridiculous How ridiculous. What I call the priests of the religion of science, how ridiculous their take is. So without further ado, we're going to start with the Bill Nye clip. I call this the palate cleanser. Just to remember to stay in line and not question the system. Go.
Evolution is unique to the United States.
Denial of evolution.
Denial of evolution is unique to the United States. I mean, we are the world's most advanced technological, so I mean, you could say Japan, but generally the United States is where most of the innovation still happens. People still move to the United States. And that's largely because of the intellectual capital we have, the general understanding of science. When you have a portion of the population that doesn't believe in that, it holds everybody back, really. Evolution is the fundamental idea in all of life science, in all of biology. It's very much analogous to trying to do geology without believing in tectonic plates. You're just not going to get the right answer. Your whole world is just going to be a mystery instead of an exciting place. As my old professor Carl Sagan said, when you're in love, you want to tell the world. So once in a while, I get people that that claim they don't believe in evolution. And my response generally is, oh, why not? Really, why not? Your world just becomes fantastically complicated when you don't believe in evolution. I mean, here are these ancient dinosaur bones or fossils. Here is
okay, I gotta stop.
radioactive.
No, Johnny, people moved to America because of evolution. Pfft. Listen to Bill. You got to listen to the priest of the religion of science, Bill Nye. They don't move here because of freedom. They don't move here because of opportunity. They move here because of evolution. And if you don't believe that, you're not American.
When you don't believe in evolution, I mean, here are these ancient dinosaur bones or fossils.
Ancient dinosaur bones. Remember that.
Here is radioactivity. Here are distant stars that are just like our star, but that are at a different point in their life cycle. The idea of deep time, of this billions of years, explains so much of the world around us. If you try to ignore that, your worldview just becomes
crazy.
It just
untenable.
Inconsistent. Self-inconsistent. And
okay. So remember that. If you don't believe what Bill Nye is saying, your worldview is crazy, untenable, and inconsistent. I'm going to write that down just so we can see later if any of these things I'm going to show you are any of those three. Let's do this. This will be a fun game. We are going to, after every one of these things that I show you, I would like you guys to vote if what I'm showing you is crazy. These are the options. Crazy, untenable, or inconsistent. Okay? Those are the three options, right? As we go. Thank you for being over here, Beth. Let's finish him real quick.
Say to the grown-ups, if you want to deny evolution and live in your...
Bill Nye says if you want to deny evolution.
World that's completely inconsistent with everything we observe in the universe,
that's fine.
But don't make your kids
do it because we need them.
We need
scientifically literate voters and taxpayers for the future.
We need people that...
We need engineers. That can build stuff. Solve problems. It's just a really hard thing.
It's just really hard thing.
It's really hard.
It's really a hard thing.
I really...
in another
in a couple of centuries, that worldview,
I'm
sure won't exist.
It just won't exist.
Okay, so that's Bill Nye, right? I almost have this memorized. I've seen it so many times. Skexy jerk. Okay. So we're going to start this with thinking about the Big Bang. Everybody's been taught about the Big Bang. It's been used so much and so popularized that we all just accept it as it happened. The Big Bang happened. Now, to be clear, I'm actually okay with the Big Bang. I'm not okay with the Big Bang having come from nothing, having just, there been nothing and then everything. That's what I had a hard time with, because it could be that God spoke this reality into existence. And I'd rather believe that. I actually think he probably started with the earth and then went out from there, but whatever. We don't know. So this is a thought experiment. Thought experiments are important, okay? I want everybody to think about nothing. Nothing. Not even space, because space came out of the Big Bang. And then I want you to imagine that everything in your house, your car, everything you've ever seen was smashed into something in nothing, and it exploded, and everything came out of it. Okay? Just firing out from like a point out. Right? This is what we believe. This is what they taught us about the Big Bang. It's the most ridiculous idea you've ever heard of. The laws of thermodynamics state that there's no such thing as the creation of energy. It only transfers forms. Where did this come from? There has to have been a source. It's insanity. If you think it came from nothing, literally nothing, nowhere, that's insanity. If you believe in the multiverse, which they actually believe in, that there's multiple infinity amount of universes, it's also ridiculous, okay? So let's just, for the sake of trying to figure out their worldview, they're not crazy, they're tenable and consistent worldview, okay? Everything came out of nothing. Fine. You win. You get that. Now I want you to think about what's coming out of there. Dust, water, photons, nothing, whatever's coming out of this thing, right? Just spewing out. And then it starts becoming a solar system, the solar system that we're in, right? Let's just say that. Dirt comes from wherever, dirt starts sticking together, and planets start forming. This is what Bill Nye believes. Planets start forming. They start coalescing. The word is glomming. The word that science uses is planets were glomming together, which is this idea that rocks stick together in space, okay? So let's imagine this. Me and Johnny Righteous and Richard Flood and Chris Ward, there's the four of us up there, okay? In space, and we each have a bucket filled with rocks. Not dissimilar to this bucket over here holding up my microphone. And I want us to sit there and throw rocks at each other's rocks. And I want you to imagine the rocks sticking together. You think we could ever get a rock to stick together? You think that in the vacuum of space, you could ever get one rock to stick to another rock with 1,000 million rocks in buckets, right? Okay, fine. The rocks stuck together and made the Earth, right? Perfectly spherical Earth. And then the rocks over there stuck together and made the sun. Chemical reaction. Now you have the sun. The rocks over here made the moon, right? They just stick together and make these moons. They make the planets. They make all these things. They make the comets, which we're going to get into in a second. They make the asteroids. They make water. They just form, right? This is what happens in space. Things just stick together, right? Now I want you to think about this from the perspective of the Earth. And I'm giving a lot of concessions early in this argument. But from the perspective of the Earth, I want you to imagine that this happened.
A solar eclipse happens when a new moon moves between the Earth and the Sun, blocking some or all of the Sun's rays from reaching the Earth. By cosmic chance, even though the Sun is 400 times wider than the Moon, it's also 400 times farther away. Therefore, the two objects appear the same size in our sky. Astronomers are able to predict eclipses because the Earth and Moon have very predictable orbits. Why then isn't there an eclipse every month?
Okay, I'm going to stop it there. Did you hear the word cosmic chance? Here it is. This is what they say.
By cosmic chance,
By cosmic
even though
chance,
the Sun is
even
400
though the sun
times
is 400 times wider than the moon, it's 400
also
times further
400
away.
times.
Okay, let's talk about that. I don't want to get into the flat Earth discussion. I don't know how big the sun is. I don't know how far away it is. I have no way to figure that out. I don't trust the people that tell me anything. So it could be the size of a basketball, just, whatever, the smallest size it could possibly be, the size of America. I think they say the moon is the size of America, and it could be 400 miles away. I have no idea. But let's just assume a heliocentric model or even a geocentric model. The chances that the sun and the moon, from the perspective of the Earth, being the same size is ridiculous. It's infinitesimal. There's no chance that two bodies would be the same size in the sky. And the sun is the life-giving light, nuclear reaction light that provides photosynthesis and all of the energy and all of the life on the Earth. And the moon is a ball of dirt covered in reflective dust. Okay? That's the situation. The sun and the moon are the same size from our perspective, and the sun is a nuclear reaction that is exactly the right distance away, and it provides exactly the right amount of heat and photosynthesizes all of life. And the moon is a big, perfectly spherical rock covered in reflective dust, like a bike reflector. If the moon was made of dirt, it wouldn't shine light to us. It would just absorb light. Do you understand that? The moon would just absorb light if it were just rock. It's made of reflective dust. And not only does it provide us light, it's on a perfect 30-day cycle that anywhere you are on the Earth, every night you can look up at the moon and know what day of the week it is. Definitely what part of the month it is. It's an application. And it happened by glomming, right? The Big Bang happened, all the stuff's flying around, all of the rocks gathered together, the nuclear reaction went. Good luck trying to find out where the moon dust came from. I was trying to research it. They have no idea. They don't even have like a funny water. Every answer they have is asteroids, which we're going to get into here in a second. Okay, so here we are. The Big Bang happened. The Earth happened. The moon happened. The sun happened. And if you want to look at this and say, sure, that happened by chance, fine. But I don't think it's a crazy, untenable, inconsistent idea to think that this was by design, right? So the big differentiation between the sun, the moon, and the Earth, well, there's a few, but one of the big ones is water, right? We have water on the Earth. Do you guys think that science knows where water came from? These are like really simple things that maybe you think you would know, but I'll go ahead and ask the people in the chat. Do you know where Bill Nye and Richard Dawkins and Michio Kaku and Neil deGrasse Tyson and Lawrence Krauss, do you guys know where they say water came from? And I'll wait for an answer. Cody, exactly right. Thank you, Cody. He gets the first points of the night. They say asteroids. Comets and asteroids. Thank you, guys. The sky, that's good. Yeah, exactly. Comet and asteroids. Great. Very good, Cody. I'm glad you're here, and thank you for engaging. You were right. You get the first point of the night. Cody gets a point. I'm going to have Chloe keep score. Cody gets a point. Shadow gets a half point. Just to confirm this, I'm going to go ahead and share with you where did it go? Where did the Earth's water come from? Here we go. Where did the Earth's water come from? This is an article from Carnegie Science. Wow, Carnegie. That guy was a full-on Freemason. Carnegie Hall, huge in the education system. Unbelievable. If you don't get your point, you're out here. Well, Richard, I'm going to give you more chances for points. So be ready. Points are coming. I mean, points are a potentiality that they're coming. Depends on if you get the question right. You've seen some of this talk, so you have an inside. The origin of the Earth's water is an open question and quite controversial. It's really part of a larger question about how the Earth got its very volatile elements that include not just the hydrogen and water, but also carbon, nitrogen, and the noble gases, helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon. amongst others. That's a great point. Thank you, Carnegie. Water is like one part of the problem. Where did all of these things come from? Right? The Big Bang. They're flying around as the rocks were glomming together, whatever. Currently, the most favored explanation for where the Earth got its water is that it acquired it from water-rich objects, planetesimals, that made up a few percent of its building blocks. These water-rich planetesimals would have either come as comets or asteroids. From what we know about comets, they're not a good match to either the volatile element abundances of isotopic compositions of the Earth. It may also have been difficult to deliver enough comets to the Earth. These are the kinds of words that they use. It also may have been difficult to deliver enough comets to the Earth. Like UPS, right? Like, wait, what is it? Oh, it's a comet. What do you have? Water. We're going to need a lot more water than that, comets. Keep delivering them. Where's this water coming from? Where's the water coming from that the comets are delivering it from? The water galaxy that was also a product of the Big Bang, but it couldn't happen here. And then it got swirling around there and then fired its way back to the Earth and hit us, delivered us the water. Good science, okay? At present, asteroids up to a few hundred kilometers across. They even know the size of these asteroids. At present, asteroids up to a few hundred kilometers across seem the most likely sources of most of Earth's water. This is it. This is where the water's going. Okay. Should we ask if that's crazy, untenable, or inconsistent? I'm not sure if that one's good enough for that, but yeah. What do you guys think? Water delivery. This is an asteroid here with your water delivery. We need to fill up the oceans with water so life can happen. Crazy. I'm with Chris. I'm not sure if I can give a point because this is very subjective, but yes. Yeah. It's crazy. Water asteroids. Where did the water come from? I don't care. Cool, asteroids. There's an old cosmogony, looking at the universe through astrophysics, apologetics series I have to find. And every single one of these, spoiler alert, their answer for everything is comets. Everything is it's comets. We don't have them here. We had them there, and they were delivered by the comets, right? Water coming as comets and asteroids. Okay. Thought experiment. I want you really to imagine the origination of these things and where in the universe. The universe is a big place. The Earth is very small. The Earth is very small compared to the universe. Where is this water forming? And then how is the trajectory changing to fire them to the Earth? It's insane. That is an insane, ridiculous proposition, but they are totally willing to say there's no way water just happened. It just didn't. Water doesn't just happen. It's a very complicated molecule composition that is also responsible for life. You need water. They can't find it anywhere else. Asteroids. Science, right? Chris says, because we still have so many water comets falling. Today. You know those big comets that come? Chloe said that earlier. You remember when that big water comet came the other day and blasted us and wet us all? Shadow, you're getting ahead of me with the Oort cloud, but Shadow gets a point because he guessed the next topic. Not to start a new trend, but Shadow gets a point. Now, I want you to think about a comet, okay? You guys have seen the comets. Have you ever seen has anybody here actually seen a comet with their own eyeballs? I am fortunate enough to have seen Halley's Comet, because I'm old. The one that was amazing, and anybody around, you have to be around my age to probably remember it, but Hale-Bopp, and then the Japanese one. that came after that. Did you guys see Hale-Bopp with your eyeballs? It was the craziest thing ever. That's why Deep Impact and Armageddon came out a couple years later. It changed all of our paradigms. It was the craziest thing that we had ever seen. You could see it in the city of Denver like a moon over the sky. And then we lived in the mountains of Colorado, and it was so clear, and you could see the tail for like in the sky. The tail would be like, I don't know. I can't even try to think of scale. 100. It looked like it was 100 feet in the sky. It would be like a quarter of the sky that you could see it. It was unbelievable. And then the Japanese comet, one night, it went all the way from the left valley to the right valley. We were right at Berthoud Pass, and you could see the tail all the way across the entire sky. It was unbelievable. Yeah. Jane Smith saw it. Yeah. But you probably saw it from Jersey, right? Did you guys get to see it from like a low light pollution place? That was unbelievable. So, okay. So a comet, what causes there to be a tail? Why is it so bright? Why does it have a streaking tail? It's actually a question. What are you seeing with the tail? What is that that's causing a tail? Rich says he saw it. He was partying. He's like, party. What causes the tail? What? I forget what it's called. Is it called the coma? I think it's called the coma. What is that with the tail? What are you seeing there? It's melting from the sun. Shadow? That's 2 points. I have a bad feeling Shadow's going to walk with this, guys. He's all over this stuff. It's releasing farts. Oh, that's pretty good. Gas. Beth, you can get a point too. Okay, so check this out. Water melting off the body of the comet is illuminated by the sun. Great. I'm going to get multiple points in that one. Okay, here's the deal. You're seeing the total disintegration of the comet. It's being destroyed, because if you burn out your tires on the asphalt, cool, it makes smoke and streaks. You're like, that's cool. You're disintegrating your tires, right? You're disintegrating your tires. Cody's coming for Shadow. You cannot peel out on your tire forever. Eventually, you're going to be on your rims. I saw that once in the town I lived in, or in the house I lived in Denver. Heard the wildest sound I'd ever heard, just grinding metal from really far away. And a 78 Cutlass went by, and the guy had his arm out the window like nothing was going on. He didn't have a single tire on his wheels. He was riding on rims and just cruising down the street. Anyways, comets are the tail of the comet is the destruction of the comet. This is good. This is a good class. We're going to keep going over these things. So here's my question. Whoever gets it closest here will get a point. How long does science think that comets last? Because they're totally, obviously you don't know. How big did the comet start? Nobody knows. How much is it disintegrating? Nobody knows. Science makes this up. But what's the expected long-term life expectancy of a comet? $100,000 years. 1 year. Nope. Can't undo points. Shadow, you get one guess. Thousands of years. Millions to billions of years. I don't know if I can award a point to that. I got to share this page the right way. I could just show the window. I don't know. Here we go. Can comets last forever? Comets do not last forever. With each cycle through the inner solar system, a comet loses a bit more of its substance, some of which replenishes the zodiacal cloud, another name for the disk of the dust that exits between planets. A typical comet is reduced to an interplanetary cinder in less than 1 million years. $1 million years. 1 million years. Maximum life expectancy of a comet is 1 million years. Okay. How old do they say the universe is? How old do they say the universe is? Because we're starting to get some problems here. This is where we go from, not to give you guys answers, but to go from crazy to inconsistent. If the universe is 13.8 billion years old. How come comets are flying around and they last less than a million years? There is a lot of million years in 13.8 billion years. Beth says, so it's burning itself up for 1 million years. Yeah, that's what they say. It burns for a million years. It's just a ridiculous thing to even think about because you would have to know how big it was to start. It's like trying to guess how long a candle's been burning. I don't know how big is the candle? We don't know. But anyways, they say a million years. So you have a problem. If comets only last a million years and the universe is 13.8 billion years and there's comets everywhere, where are the comets coming from? Jane Smith says, does 1 day in outer space equal 15 years on Earth or more? We just look at time through our perspective, so we measure it in Earth days, but we purchase them and comets are us with evolution bucks. Oh, that's good. That's really good. Let's look at what they actually teach about. Where do comets come from? Where do comets come from? It is thought that most comets originate in a vast cloud of ice and dust that surrounds the solar system, the Oort cloud. This is where Shadow got his pre-point. As it is called, extends several thousand times farther than the sun, from the sun than Pluto. Okay, so here's the deal. The comets are coming from the Oort cloud because they're coming from somewhere near us and they have to be less than a million years old. So where do they come from? They come from the Oort cloud. Where do comets come from? It is thought that they come from the Oort cloud, which is a vast cloud of ice and dust that surrounds the solar system, right? This is science, right? Well, that makes sense. There's just outside of our solar system, there's just a bunch of comets not getting burned by the sun, ready to fire in at the Earth, right? Let's make sure we know. Huh. Oh, that wasn't the same one. Did I lose it? It's not showing me all my tabs here, but we'll find them. I'll just share this window for now because that seems to be better. The Oort cloud is the most distant region in our solar system, and it's jaw-droppingly far away, extending perhaps 1/4 to halfway from our sun to the next star. Here's pictures of the Oort cloud. This is what the Oort cloud looks like. Here it is. An eye. Shocker. Here's the Oort cloud. Look at it. It just goes around the sun. There's the Oort cloud. Cool. Does the Oort cloud exist? The Oort cloud is a theoretical spherical cloud of predominantly icy planetesimals that is believed to surround the sun at a distance of up to around 100,000 astronomical units. Although it has not yet been proven through direct observation, the existence of the Oort cloud is widely accepted in the scientific community. There's no Oort cloud. There's no Oort cloud. They made up the Oort cloud to explain how 1 million year old comets are flying around when the universe is 13.8 billion years old. Because we're not talking about science anymore, people. We're talking about defending a worldview. We're talking about manipulating the data to support a worldview, which is what science actually is now. Okay? This whole trust the science movement is just telling you to comply with their narrative. That's it. That's all this is. Trust the science means trust the new priests of the religion of science because they have more access to this information. You don't have a deep field telescope. They can't even find the Oort cloud. You sure aren't going to find the Oort cloud. Go prove to them that there is no Oort cloud, because what they want to say is that, yes, the universe looks a lot younger than what we want to believe it is because it has to be that old. I don't know if you guys know this about the universe, but when they date the universe, they need this amount of time for planets to form, for life to crawl out of the ocean, for life to crawl from out of the ocean to turn into us. They need hundreds of millions and billions of years. So something like proof and evidence really gets in the way. Don't you hate it when the truth gets in the way of science? I hate that. It's really frustrating when what you see doesn't fit with what you believe. And we are crazy for not believing Bill Nye. That's like item number one. I've got 5 more or something. It's all like this, though. When you look at the bigger picture, Cody, hopefully you're still here. When you look at the bigger picture, you see that the emperor has no clothes. They're full of shit. Excuse my language. They're full of it. They just are saying things. They're just saying words and telling you to believe them. They don't know. They don't know. And how can they know? They're on a blue rock in the middle of an incomprehensibly big universe that's been here for longer than we have been here, and they're looking at rocks and stars trying to decide where it came from, what it means, and who did it, and when they did it. This is what's happening. They're looking at rocks and planets, stars, molecules, dirt, and they're saying, oh, yeah, we looked at the, yeah, definitely. Yeah, yep. 38 billion years, definitely. Look at that light. Blue. Light's blue. 38 billion years. Hey, what about the comets? Well, I know. There's a cloud. Yeah. There's a cloud out there. And it goes around and it shoots the comets out. Yeah, that's the ticket. Yeah. Yeah, that's the ticket. There's a cloud out there. It's called the Oort cloud. And we'll teach it to people like it's a real thing. And then they'll start teaching the other people like it's the real thing. And people will just believe this. This is what's going to happen. It's going to totally work. It's not going to work. It's going to work. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Oh, it's ridiculous. It's like the game of perspective and guessing. It is. It's just guessing. And it's the thing that's so frustrating about it is that if they were just like, we don't know. If Bill Nye was like, I got no idea. I know I'm Bill Nye the Science Guy. Really, I'm a mechanical engineer. But look, we know how these things work. We don't know where they came from. We don't know what you are. We don't know. I don't know. You figure it out. Hey, you're bright. You're young. I'm going to let you go. You go figure it out. If they did that, I wouldn't care at all. I wouldn't be up here ripping Bill Nye. I wouldn't make shirts that read, they lie, trying to expose their lies. Like, don't lie to me and tell me that I have to believe you or I'm crazy. I've been in toxic relationships, Bill. Don't lie to me and bully me and tell me that I have to just stay in this and I can't question you. Like, I don't, dude, my Stockholm syndrome for the system is done. I do not suffer from Stockholm syndrome from this system. Certified Stockholm syndrome survivor. All right, what's next? Comets. Oh, okay. My new friend Cody, who doesn't appear to parrot the official narrative, which I appreciate. We're going to talk about where life came from, because this is a big one, right? They have no idea where the universe came from. They have no idea where the universe came from and or when. Best guess. Really just interpreting the data to fit their godless worldview. That's all it is. Imagine if they taught that there was a global flood that form the Grand Canyon and everything we see in the fossil record. People would be like, wow, the Bible's a real thing, right? Alaska, and you're not so angry anymore, are you, brother? I was hoping you'd show up, man. And the constructor thing, I shared that on Discord today. There's a new theory about the constructor. It's good to see you. Okay, guys. Que bueno. God, my friend. That's what's good. Okay. Life. This is a big one. They have no idea where the universe came from. They have no idea how long it's been here. They have no idea how planets formed. They have no idea how water got here. They have no idea about any of this. They have no idea. And rightly, they have no idea because they're on the Earth with a telescope and a Large Hadron Collider. What in the hell are you going to figure out with a telescope and a Large Hadron Collider? If you went to a crime scene and you could get in and touch everything and you could see the blood and test the blood and stuff, that would be one thing. But if you were looking at the crime scene from a television, like they are with the telescopes, you'd have a hard time piecing this thing together. All right. Life. Where did life come from? Are you guys familiar with the Miller-Urey experiment? This is where the guys, the scientists, Stanley Miller and his professor Urey, synthesized the early Earth and struck it with lightning and formed amino acids. They like the building blocks, the protein building blocks of life. And they're like, celebrate, like, we did it. We're Frankenstein. We created life. We got it. Right? That whole thing. Watch this. I'm going to switch it to the Chrome tab share because I don't think it shares the audio when I do it the other way. Screen share. Where did life come from? That's what we're sharing here on YouTube. If you guys want to jump over to YouTube, links in the bio. A couple people have been sharing this. Zulu, I'd love to have you over there. Anybody else? I think I see. Is it Holly over there? Zoe. Yeah, if you can get over to YouTube, you should. This video I'm going to show is important, but here we go. This is a PBS science piece. It's really scientific too. You're going to love this one. Oh my gosh, you guys are going to love this one. Cody and Michael and Shadow. I know Chippo is going to like this. Johnny writes, all you guys. First off, it's okay to be smart. Right? We don't want to be stupid. We don't want to be stupid. And it's okay to be smart. That's the name of this show. It's okay to be smart. Here we go.
Hey guys, Joe here. Some people would argue the most important year in the history of soup was 1962, when Andy Warhol released his super soupy pop art. But I think soup's best year came a decade earlier in 1952, when a scientist named Stanley Miller first cooked up primordial soup. Miller's experiment took some simple chemicals like those found on early Earth, bubbled them up through a tube, zapped them with electricity, and after a few days floating in this soup, he found amino acids, the building blocks of proteins and one of the essential ingredients for life. This idea that life's origins could be found in a puddle of chemicals is an old one. In the 1920s, two different scientists theorized about life coming from what they called a prebiotic soup. And this soupy speculation even goes back, unsurprisingly, to Charles Darwin, who in 1871 wondered if life may have formed from chemicals in some warm little pond.
Okay, I gotta pause this and tell you that this video is called Where Did Life Come From? Okay? So remember, this piece is, I assume, trying to answer the question of where did life come from? That's what we're looking for here, okay? With all their Andy Warhol pop references and bubblegum and all this stuff. Here we go.
What made Miller's experiment so special was it gave us proof. Regular non-life stuff could become cool life stuff super easily. But every living thing we see today, even the most basic bacteria,
let's go back over that really quick.
proof.
So
The
first off, Darwin
speculation
talks
even
about
goes
it.
back, unsurprisingly, to Charles Darwin, who in 1871 wondered if life may have formed from chemicals in some warm little pond.
Let's read this. Let's read that a little bit
Made
clearer.
Miller's experiment.
Sorry, my computer is making me double-click things tonight. It's funny. It is often said that all the conditions for the first production of a living organism are now present, which could ever have been present. But if, oh, what a big if, this is Darwin saying this in parentheses, but if, and oh, what a big if it is, we could, what is that word, conceive in some warm little pond with all sorts of ammonia and phosphoric salts, light, heat, electricity present, that a protein compound was chemically formed, ready to undergo and it's hard to read in cursive, a still more complex changes at present day, such matter would be instantly devoured or absorbed, which would not have been, whatever, doesn't matter. He goes, if this thing could happen. Could this happen? It's totally crazy, but imagine if it could. I know it can't, but here we go. Darwin had no idea about DNA. All of these things that we're getting to, their whole thing, if they made it this far with any of their nonsense, when Miller and what was his name? Crick and Watson. When Crick and Watson came up with the DNA, that was the end of the whole charade anyways, which is kind of where we're going to end tonight. But okay, Darwin goes, imagine this happening. And they're like, ooh, Darwin said words. Let's figure out what Darwin said. Let's stop doing science and let's just try to prove Darwin right, which is what happened about 150 years ago and all they've done ever since.
Warm little pond. What made Miller's experiment so special was it gave us proof. Regular non-life stuff could become cool life stuff super easily.
Did you hear that? For those of you on TikTok, I'm going to repeat what this, where did life come from? Nightmare Joe guy just said. What made Miller's experiment so special was it gave us proof that regular non-life stuff,
Regular non-life stuff could become cool life stuff super easily. But every living
super easily. What's so great about their experiment is that non-life can easily become life. Okay? I need to show you something before we go any further on this for you to understand how non-scientific this is. I don't know if you guys have studied biology, abiogenesis, chemical biology, like this actual experiment, what you would need to have life and how ridiculous the idea is that what they did was prove forming life. But let me show you something that you may or may not know. The Miller-Urey experiment excluded oxygen from the mixture of gases in their experiment, as they knew that oxygen would make the formation of organic molecules from non-organic molecules impossible. The word is impossible. You want to talk about science? Hey, you guys ever heard of oxygen? I mean, good luck figuring out where in the hell oxygen came from in your ridiculous Disney movie of life that you're coming up with. But oxygen has always been on the earth. By every account, there was never not oxygen, wherever it came from. When they did this experiment, they removed oxygen from they actually took the oxygen out. They did this literally, you know the term in a vacuum? They did this in a vacuum with no oxygen because they knew that oxygen would make the formation of organic molecules from non-organic molecules impossible. There is solid empirical evidence that the Earth's atmosphere has always had significant levels of oxygen. Okay? You can't, this isn't science. Trying to manipulate an experiment to get the conclusion that you want is not science. That is not science. Ready for this one? The scientific method. I'm trying to find this, but I'm not finding it. But when you do the scientific method, philosophically, you have to remain rigorously skeptical, because if you bring bias in, you're going to skew the results. You're going to interpret the results. So you have to be a rigid skeptic. You cannot come in with a conclusion that you are married to, because if you do, you've left science. Okay? You're not doing science. You come up with a theory, and if he was a scientist, if Miller was a scientist, he would have put oxygen in this thing and tried to do it. But he fudged it. He doctored it intentionally. And you know why? You know why he did this? Because he knew, because of Carnegie and Rockefeller and all these nightmare financial philanthropic jerks who get a tax write-off by poisoning our education system with their ridiculous lies. He knew that if they could come up with anything that the God-hating pundits could latch on as their defense for why they can just totally abandon the Bible, that they would push it for hundreds of years and nobody would ever do anything about it, because they were so indoctrinated that if, like Bill said, you question them, you're crazy, and they can protect themselves with this back door of forcing you to believe what they say, regardless of what the data says. They don't care about the truth. They care about coming up with something scientifically probable enough to sell you a bill of goods. And this is the best that they can come up with. This is how broken and bankrupt their theory is. All they have to do is try to make this topically convincing enough that the masses will dogmatically adhere to it. And this is still the best that they could come up with. This is the best they could do. Fudging the numbers, omitting oxygen, even though they knew they had oxygen. All right. I digress. I'm going to get, just so you guys know, I'm going to get exceedingly more and more pissed off as this goes. Like, you haven't seen me tilt in a little while, but I'll be surprised if I'm not fully tilted in the next 20 minutes, because it just gets worse. Let's go back to It's Okay to Be Smart. This is a PBS special documentary, It's Okay to Be Smart, which, by the way, I assure you, was played in a multitude of classrooms for plenty of malleable, young, beautiful, creative, genius minds to be sullied with. Continue with the show.
Thing we see today, even the most basic bacteria, is so complex, built of such intricate machinery, it's impossible to imagine they just popped into existence out of some soup. That's because they didn't. We're gonna go on a journey in search of the origin of life, and along the way there will be a few forks in the road, maybe a couple speed bumps, and we're gonna need help from a couple friends.
Cool.
We'll come to see that Miller's primordial soup isn't exactly how this story began. But the first question we should ask isn't how life started, it's when.
Life on Earth couldn't exist before Earth existed, and it formed around 4.5 billion years ago at the dawn of the Hadean Eon. Soon after that, another planet collided with the young Earth, melted the entire crust, and created the moon in the process. After the crust cooled, there was even some liquid water, at least for a little while. Because for the next couple 100 million years, Earth was showered with hundreds of massive space rocks. The oceans boiled away, the crust melted again, and Earth was basically no place for life until things settled down about 4 billion years ago at the dawn of the Archean Eon.
This is the earliest possible time that life could have started on Earth, the beginning of what we call the habitability boundary. And fossil and chemical evidence tell us that early microbes existed by 3.7 billion years ago, what's known as the biosignature boundary. At some moment in here, non-life became life. We call this abiogenesis. I don't have a time machine. As far as I know, no one does. Therefore, we can't go back and find that exact moment. But if we could, what would we look for? This brings us to the next big question on this journey. What is life? You'd think...
Okay, I'm a rambler. I'm a professional rambler at this point in my life. This yahoo has rambled on for 3 minutes now. Where did life come from? And he's dodged the question through all of this magicry. Do you guys know how a magician pulls off his magic trick? You understand they're not doing actual magic. It's sleight of hand. It's an illusion. And a big way that they do this is that they have a beautiful assistant or a bunny in a hat, and they get the masses to look at the thing that they're doing while they slide in with sleight of hand and pull off the trick. This guy's a magician, and he is using he just had an assistant, not, whatever. That was his assistant. This whole spiel about 4.8 billion years ago. And I love how she just conceded that the moon came from also a comet or an asteroid, right? That whole thing railed into the earth and it spun off, and then it went from a amorphous blob into a perfect sphere, and then moon dust happened. Probably other comets, right? Sparkle comets brought the moon dust to it and fired that till it was covered in moon dust. But then we get to the habitability zone. Now, I don't have a time machine. And as far as I know, nobody has a time machine, because if you had a time machine, you could go back and find out that I'm totally full of shit. But nope, you don't have a time machine. You can't question me. I don't have a time machine. I'm making this up. Wee science, right? That's where we're at so far. So now he hasn't at all talked about where life has come from. And now he's going to say, well, before we say where it comes from, we need to probably design. You guys don't make me laugh about sparkle comets. I always try and get away with something like that. Ooh, sparkle comets. Here they come. Sparkle comets. Glory be to the constructor. Okay, here we go.
Biology would have a good definition.
You would think
for life,
biology would
the
have a good
thing it
definition of
studies.
what life is.
But
the
as
thing
a
that it
biologist,
studies.
I can tell you this is much harder than it
Yes,
sounds.
it is hard.
In one chapter of biologist J.B.S. Haldane's 1949 book, What is Life?, he literally writes, I am not going to answer this question. Life is a board game, a delicious breakfast cereal, and a highway?
The guy that wrote the book, What is Life?, said in the book, I'm not going to answer this question. I should be an author. I'm going to make a book, and I'm going to make a whole thing on something, and I'm just going to not answer the thing that I said the book's about.
According to the dictionary, it's the time between birth and death. But none of these definitions really help us. I think we might be asking the wrong question, because life isn't a thing that things have. Life is what living things do. In school, many people learn a checklist for the characteristics a thing must have in order to be alive. Mrs. Gren. But this list came from looking at life as we know it today. Life at the very beginning was probably much simpler. A cat-loving physicist, Erwin Schrödinger, looked at all these things that life does and saw something only a physicist would see.
According to the second law of thermodynamics, the universe works to maximize entropy. In other words, energy and matter are slowly inching towards perfect equilibrium everywhere. But inside living cells, there's a huge amount of order and complexity. In 1944, Schrödinger defined life as a struggle against entropy, the persistent resistance of decay, the preservation of disequilibrium. Since then, we've learned a lot more about entropy, and it may be that the rise of complexity is as inevitable as its decay.
That sounds pretty good. Life creates these little closed systems where it works to keep things nice and ordered. But this definition still leaves out one important thing. Living things evolve. Inside the very first living things must have been molecules, chains of atoms that carried information, instructions for building things or codes for doing stuff. These molecules must have copied and made more of themselves, some a little different than the others. And a few of those codes and instructions must have been better at doing whatever they did, so they made even more of themselves. What we're describing is evolution by natural selection, Darwin's famous idea. And for life to move forward, it must have been there from the beginning. Life is a product of evolution. With all this in mind, maybe we're finally able to come up with a better definition. Life began the moment that molecules of information started to reproduce and evolve by natural selection. And now that we have a definition, and it's a mouthful, we can make some rules for what something has to do to be alive.
Are you guys watching this? Are you guys watching this guy? Shadow says it. He didn't explain where the first DNA code came from. It's so much even worse than that, Shadow. That's exactly right. You get a point. Shadow got another point there. I know I wasn't issuing them, but that's, you know what? I got to give Cody a point earlier too, because that whole thing about history is exactly right. Beeline, I'll talk to you about that later, about the TikTok thing. I can't lose momentum, but I get you. Okay. This show is called Where Did Life Come From? He went on to this whole thing. He showed his one assistant. He showed his other assistant. They explained what life is and entropy and all of this kind of thing, right? And then he goes, very quickly, here's your sleight of hand. Here's your sleight of hand. I can't believe he even shows computer code. He even shows computer code. He's talking about life and how life is designed and what life is, and then he pulls out this little number. This, you guys can't hear this on TikTok, is why you should be over on YouTube, but check this out.
But this definition still leaves out one important thing.
Living things
evolve. Inside the very first living things must have been molecules.
Inside the very first living things must have been molecules. This show is called Where Did Life Come From? And he just skipped over the whole thing with his sleight of hand trick. And he says, inside the very first living living things must have been molecules, chains of atoms that carried, and it's showing because we're in the matrix, 1s and 0 binary information.
Chains of atoms that carried information,
that carried
instructions for building things or codes for doing stuff. These molecules must have copied and made more of themselves.
They must, okay, so the first molecules had life, and they must have copied and made more of themselves by whatever this is. This is the most frustrating, insane drizzle. Bill, you know what? Your theory is crazy and untenable and inconsistent. Bill, this whole thing that we're watching is crazy, untenable, and inconsistent. They're never going to answer this. You can't make life out of non-life. They had to pull oxygen out to make something that wasn't even close to DNA. And this whole show about where did life come from, it not only do they not hit on at all where life comes from, and they just slid into, here's life. Oh, and they have DNA. Listen to what he says. Listen to how unbelievably dogmatic and adherent to evolution he is. Listen to what he says here.
Some a little different than the others. And a few of those codes and instructions must have been better at doing whatever they did. So they made even more of themselves. What we're describing is evolution by natural selection, Darwin's famous idea. And for life to move forward, it must have been there from the beginning.
And for life to, what we're explaining, what we're saying is that Darwin was right. What we're saying is that Darwin is right. This is natural selection because this DNA that came from wherever it came from and however it started having information and sending it across, clearly from there it had to have used natural selection, which Darwin totally called. And then he says, for life to move forward, it must have been there from the beginning. Oh, constructor, help us. Science. I so badly want to go back and watch Bill Nye tell me that I'm crazy if I don't believe this shit. I'm so mad right now. Where did life come from? For life to move forward, it must have been there from the beginning. Science. This is their answer. And you know why this is their answer? Let me give you a good rant on this one. Do you know why this is their answer? Because when you're trying to figure out a math problem and any part of your formula is wrong, you can never get the right answer. And when they, by refusing in their hubris to concede a source, I'm not saying God of the Bible. That's obviously what I believe. But when you refuse there to be a source for this reality, this is the kind of shit you come up with. This is what you come up with. If I was trying to explain to you how my 2007 Volkswagen Rabbit came to be by natural selection, by organic processes and oxygen depleted lightning striking primordial soup, and how the transmission came into being, and the tires and melting lightning rubber plants, and then glass hitting the sun, like lightning hitting the glass, and then wind blowing the glass up and sticking it to the whole thing, it would be the same nonsense. It would be the same if I tried to explain to you how this mouse came to be. It would be the same nightmare. If I tried to explain to you where my sparkling water came from and how it ended up in this glass with printing on it, with information on it, it would be the same nightmare if I refused to concede that there was a designer. And so why are people so adherent to remove a creator from the equation? Why? Because they don't want to be accountable for their decisions. They don't want somebody telling them what to do. They had a bad religious experience, which I get. They've been traumatized, whatever. They're either maniacs and they don't want to be held accountable, or they've been traumatized. Look, I don't care. I'm sorry. I care that those things happen to you, but if you refuse a designer for a clearly designed order, you can only come up with nonsense. And if that's what you want to believe, that's great. But don't teach it like fact. Don't bully people to force for them to believe it, and do not force it down the throats of beautiful, creative, genius children who deserve better. Don't. Stay in your lane, Bill Nye. And Joe. You guys are magicians. You guys are snake oil salesmen like your father, John Rockefeller, the devil. You know what, Bill? I think that something probably made this. And that's not crazy. Because everything that is a reaction of some other thing. And this can't have come from nothing. And this story is drizzle. And I promise you this. If we make it 100 years, which there's no way, but if we make it 100 years, they will look back at this time and they will laugh at you for believing this. They will laugh at anyone who believed this, and they will say, why did they believe that? Why did they believe that? It's nonsense. Why would they believe that? What else does Joe have to say?
Life is a product of evolution. With all this in mind,
I can't do it. We're only halfway through. I can't do it. Oh, I can't do it. Oh my God, I can't do it. You guys on TikTok, I wish you were on YouTube. This guy, Joe, I just went on that whole rant, and we come back on and I hit play, and he goes, life is a product of evolution. Thanks, Joe. Sweet. Oh, yeah. Sweet. Got it. Okay. Where did life come from? Evolution. Got it. Okay. Oh.
maybe we're finally able to come up with a better definition. Life began the moment that molecules of information started to reproduce and evolve by natural selection. And now that we have a definition, and it's a mouthful.
TikTok, it says their definition for life is that it began the moment that molecules of information started to reproduce and evolve by natural selection. So that's it. That's where life came from. The answer to where did life come from is that life is a product of evolution, and that life began the moment that molecules of information started to reproduce and evolve by natural selection. Molecules of information. Shadow Rays puts molecules of information with the questionable face. All right. That moves us on to the next thing that we'd like to talk about, which is DNA. Okay? The molecules of information that this Yahoo is talking about. Hey, Chloe, I think I figured out what's going on. My mouse might be low on a battery. If you as my producer could bring me a double A. Hey, Mom! Double A battery! Put in the meatloaf! All right. We're going to look at these molecular, what does he call them? Molecules of information, okay? Molecules of information. We're going to look at molecules of information. I might have just muted somebody or something because my mouse is screwing up. All right, here we go. Molecules of information. Here we go.
DNA is a good place to start, the double helix molecule we always talk about. This is a scientifically accurate depiction of DNA created by Drew Barry at the Walter and Eliza Hall Institute of Medical Research. If you unwind the two strands, you can see that each has a sugar phosphate backbone connected to the sequence of nucleic acid base pairs, known by the letters A, T, G, and C. Now the strands run in opposite directions, which is important when you go to copy DNA. Copying DNA is one of the first steps in cell division. Here, the two strands of DNA are being unwound and separated by the tiny blue molecular machine called helicase. Helicase literally spins as fast as a jet engine.
This is what DNA
The strand of DNA on the right has its complementary strand assembled continuously, but the other strand is more complicated because it runs in the opposite direction. So it must be looped.
Are you guys seeing the molecules of information? Are you seeing the molecules of information that are a product of evolution? This is what's happening inside of DNA. This is what is happening inside of your cell. I think it's what the DNA is causing your proteins to do. Sorry, it's not happening inside of DNA. DNA is just the instructions. It's the blueprint. It's information. It's binary 1 and 0. It's probably hexadecimal 1 and 0 information that is these builders, which are the proteins and whatever else, are actually using to construct your entity, your reality, your existence, and everything that we see. These are the molecules of information, and they are the most... I'm going to turn it around. Here we go. I'll do this on TikTok for a little bit so people can see it. This is the molecules of information.
Out with its complementary strand assembled in reverse, section by section. At the end of this process, you have two identical DNA molecules, each one a few centimeters long, but just a couple nanometers wide. So to prevent the DNA from becoming a tangled mess, it is wrapped around proteins called histones, forming a nucleosome. These nucleosomes are bundled together into a fiber known as chromatin, which is further looped and coiled to form a chromosome, one of the largest molecular structures in your body.
They even sound like the Matrix.
You can actually see chromosomes under a microscope in dividing cells. Only then do they take on their characteristic shape.
I'm going to rewind this
Otherwise,
a little bit
the
here.
Jet engine.
For those that didn't see
The
what the
strand of
molecules
DNA on the right
information
has
are.
its complementary strand assembled continuously, but the other strand is more complicated because it runs in the opposite direction. So it must be looped out with its complementary strand assembled in reverse, section by section. At the end of this process, you have two identical DNA molecules, each one a few centimeters long.
So that's it. That's your molecules of information for everybody keeping track at home. Let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about molecules of information. I would love to get some feedback on this. Cody says, so we should be able to upload DNA and just have all the answers. Technically, yeah, it's information based. So yeah, that could actually happen. CRISPR technology is working on that. That's a whole other discussion I don't want to get into, but yeah, it's we are in an information based reality, in my opinion. I've been studying the nature of reality critically for 20 years. We're in an it's ones and zeros, simulation or not. It's a mathematical construction. It's an information based reality. What are you confused about, Cody? Did I lose you somewhere in the conversation, or are you confused about what they're saying? I just want to be clear because, you know, we talked on YouTube or TikTok live earlier, and I want to make sure that I hopefully make a cogent point. The reason that I'm covering this is that if you remember, you asked about aliens, and I said that in order for aliens to exist, this process that happened here, they say happened here, had to have happened in another planet, on another planet. So it didn't just happen here, right? It's somewhere else. So it happened here. Like, would it be the same way? Is this just a thing that life creates? Also, are aliens also DNA and the same thing, or does life just do weird other things? It just doesn't work. It didn't happen. My point is that it didn't happen by accident here. This whole thing is a ruse. It's a lie. It's told by a bunch of scallywags. This is nonsense. It's designed by a creator. So something created this. I believe it's God of the Bible. I think it's the most founded account as far as the scriptural historicity and the explanation of creation and all those kind of things. But something created this. So then you get into a scenario with aliens, like, yeah, whatever. That's a whole other thing. I don't want to get into aliens right now necessarily. I want to finish this point. Okay, so check this out. This is a problem for science. Okay, when Watson and Crick figured this out, they were hexed. They were God-hating atheists. And they were like, well, dude, if Darwin was alive today and he saw this animation of what's going on inside of a DNA, he'd be like, yeah, I was wrong. Whoops. Good idea. Doesn't check out, though. Back to the drawing board. Because in theory, he was an actual scientist, if you believe I don't know. He was Galton's cousin. Galton was a eugenicist. You can make a really strong argument that the whole point of evolution was to justify white elite supremacy and racism. But that's a conversation that we'll have with the evolution piece. Okay. So once science figured this out, right, science basically went, all right, well, that came from somewhere. That came from somewhere, like something designed that. So now science is reeling, trying to figure out where it came from, right? That's the next level of this. But don't worry, they're figuring it out. We're going to go now to everyone's favorite God-hating atheist, Richard Dawkins, the self-proclaimed God destroyer. And he's having a discussion with Ben Stein in an old apologetics movie called Expelled. And this is all about how evolution was taught as fact, whatever. This is Richard Dawkins telling you where he thinks the DNA molecule came from. Because the DNA molecule, that thing is designed. Sorry to piss anybody off. Something designed the DNA molecule. Life didn't, evolution didn't cause that. Something caused that, right? Johnny Righteous despises Dawkins like you. But yeah, I despise them all equally. Krauss, him, Tyson, all of them. That's why I have the shirt, The Priest of the Religion of Science, with it's Dawkins, Bill Nye, and Neil deGrasse Tyson on it. You ready for this? Stein backs Richard Dawkins into a corner. I'm sure he hates that he ever said this. Watch this.
Well, then who did create the heavens and the earth?
Why do you use the word who? You see, you immediately beg the question by using the word who.
Well, then how did it get created?
Well, by a very slow process.
Well, how did it start?
Nobody knows how it started. We know the kind of event that it must have been. We know the sort of event that must have happened for the origin of life.
And what was that?
It was the origin of the first self-replicating molecule.
Right, and how did that happen?
Okay. We know how it happened. I mean, we know after the DNA molecule showed up. From there on, we've got it. Okay, then where'd the DNA molecule come from, Richard? Spill the beans, bro.
I told you we don't know.
We don't know.
So you have no idea how it started?
No, nor has anybody.
Nor has anyone else. What do you think is the possibility that intelligent design might turn out to be the answer to some issues in genetics or in evolution?
It could come about in the following way. It could be that at some earlier time, somewhere in the universe, a civilization evolved by probably some kind of Darwinian means to a very, very high level of technology and designed a form of life that they seeded onto perhaps this planet. Now, that is a possibility and an intriguing possibility. And I suppose it's possible that you might find evidence for that if you look at the details of biochemistry, molecular biology. You might find a signature of some sort of designer.
Wait a second. Richard Dawkins thought intelligent design might be a legitimate pursuit?
And that designer could well be a higher intelligence from elsewhere in the universe.
Well,
but that higher intelligence would itself have had to have come about by some explicable or ultimately explicable process. It couldn't have just jumped into existence spontaneously. That's the point.
Have you guys heard that before? Those of you on TikTok that didn't hear it, Richard Dawkins just said that there is no God, and we know that there's no God, but there might be an alien, and the alien may have seeded the earth with the first DNA molecule. Because you cannot have this discussion. You cannot see what I've shown you and with any kind of intellectual honesty say, yeah, that should totally happen by chance. Yep. Like whatever that Joe guy said, life's a product of evolution, and information molecules have evolved, survival of the fittest, and here we are. You have to concede design. So why is Richard Dawkins willing to concede that an alien designed this, but not God? Now who's being inconsistent? And if the only way that we could have got our DNA molecule is that an alien shipped it over here, probably on a comet, right? Am I right? Where did the DNA of the alien come from, Richard? Who was the source? If they're more advanced than us, which means they probably have a higher intellect or consciousness or whatever, how did that happen? And why must he refuse it being God? Because by his own admonition, he had a terrible religious upbringing, Puritan, I believe. I could be getting that wrong. I'm sure his parents were shitty people. I'm sure they gave him a terrible version of God, and he is so traumatized and adverse to the idea of religion that he will refuse a creator at all costs unto his deathbed when he dies, refusing God. Have we been able to see in this yet that saying that an asteroid brought the water defers the problem? It defers the debt. You have an intellectual debt that you're suffering from. This is an intellectual debt suffrage from being intellectually dishonest because of bias. And you're deferring the debt. You're kicking the can down the road. Cool. Water can't show up on the earth. It had to come through a comet. Where'd the comet get its water? Cool. DNA can't come from the earth. There's no way that would have happened. But DNA can come from an alien. Where did the alien's DNA come from? There has to be a source. And it is totally intellectually honest to say, I believe in intelligent design. I'm not saying you have to believe in the Bible. I believe in the Bible. I believe it's a historically accurate document. I believe I've had experiences where I felt the presence of God of the Bible. That's who I attribute design to. That's my choice. I'm not telling you you have to believe in the Bible. That's between you and God. But if you think that this dog shit version of your history and the origins of the universe and how we got here and when we got here is valid, you're lying to yourself. And ask yourself why. Why? Why? Why do you refuse the idea of a creator? Richard Dawkins. They all have the same spirit. All those guys have the same spirit. Trying to find one. This is kind of funny. I mean, based on what we're doing. I might have muted somebody's chat. If I do, I'm sorry. My mouse is weird. Okay, guys. This is a fun one. And TikTok people, you can follow along because I'm going to be reading this. This is from Popular Mechanics. Popular Mechanics of the 9/11 debunking fame. Popular Mechanics is the publication that people still cite in debunking 9/11 questions, 9/11 conspiracies. This is the thing. Like, it's the same outfit, you guys. This is why I'm a conspiracy theorist and a theologian. Excuse me. Why I do conspiracy and I do apologetics. Because it's the same outfit, Popular Mechanics, that is defending the official narrative of 9/11, which we know is a joke. Steel doesn't melt by jet planes and they don't fall in their footprint in Building 7, whatever. Like, 9/11, if you believe the official story of 9/11, you're believing a lie. Let me just be very nice about it and say that you're believing a lie. You've been lied to. Admit it to yourself and move on. Do the research. I don't, you'll come to a different conclusion, whatever. But this publication, Popular Mechanics, is selling you the 9/11 lie, and they're selling you this next lie. Wait till you see what this says. Some scientists believe all life started on Mars. Maybe it's not as crazy as it sounds. Should we get Bill Nye in here? I wish I had a Bill Nye clip and I could go, it's crazy. Your worldview is crazy. My worldview is crazy. Okay, I believe something created DNA. Let's see what you believe, Bill Nye. Could life as we know it have begun on Mars instead of Earth? A handful of scientists believe so, and even more think we should at least consider the possibility. This special case of the overall theory of panspermia, where life on Earth began somewhere else and traveled or was planted here, has some prominent supporters. I want to know who these prominent supporters are. Probably Bill Nye and Michio Kaku and Lawrence Krauss and Richard Dawkins and Neil deGrasse Tyson, if I just had to guess. In a New Salon article, these proponents say that the theory makes intuitive sense based on what the two planets are like. They're saying these scientists think this makes intuitive sense. Wait till you hear what I'm going to tell you that they believe makes intuitive sense. First, let's review the facts. No one knows for certain where and how life began. Joe doesn't think this. Joe knows. Joe told you what happened. We can backform theories based on what we know now and what life is like throughout the fossil and carbon record on Earth. Researchers also study unique qualities that Mars and Earth share compared with the other planets in our solar system. And Mars is, in many ways, a smaller, older Earth that burned out its natural resources and electromagnetic core sooner. This too makes intuitive sense. A smaller ice cube melts faster, a smaller piece of hot food cools more quickly. Scientists study genomics as a way to extrapolate the origins of life. The order in which building blocks like RNA and DNA emerged can be cross-referenced with, for example, the many dozens of Mars-based meteorites that are known to have hit the Earth over time. Mars-based meteorites. Think about that one for a second. Ellis Reyes says that climate change killed Mars. If only they had AOC. Yeah, if only they would have charged us more taxes when we were all on Mars, we would have been fine. This idea coalesces around the last universal common ancestor, meaning the single cell from which all the rest of the cells on Earth descended. All of you, my conspiracy Christian alliance, do you see the acronym here? This idea coalesces around of all of the things you could call the first proto-human DNA, not even human, the first proto-DNA cell. They choose the acronym LUCA, last universal common ancestor. Luca, L-U-C-A. What was the name of the missing link? What's her name? Lucy? Is her name Lucy? Lucy and Luca. What do they have in common? It's loose. Maybe we should look that up really quick. Maybe we should look up really quick what loose is. I'm not going to look it up. I do. Actually, I do. I will look it up. This is good stuff. L-U-C root words, root definition. What did I do? L-U-C root definition. You can do it this time, mouse? Luke, L-U-C. It's weird that I would know this. Comes from Latin, where it has the meaning light. Yep. Derivatives of light. Lucifer, loose, lose, this whole thing. It's light. But where am I at? I think that's just a really interesting thing, because if you research this a little deeper, and hopefully our man Cody's in here still. There he is. Cool. Cody says, honest question, couldn't God have created other creatures or forms of life? Those forms of life became advanced or already were traveled here and implanted DNA. These beings can be interdimensional. Yeah. God could have absolutely done that. Cody, this is a theory that you have, or that a lot of people have this theory. As I understand reality, it's based around man's consciousness and man's experience. I'm rather keen on the simulation hypothesis, and that we're in Grand Theft Auto 9 million or whatever. Obviously, more like The Sims maybe, but that's a whole other conversation. But I think that this reality is based around man's consciousness, and outwardly that seems very hubris. But looking at the science, things like the axis of evil, and other markers that show that we could potentially be the center of the universe, either metaphorically or physically. I think this is about man's experience. And I think that the idea of aliens, especially people that have adopted this idea and really have believed it, is rooted in, a belief system that's hard to let go, number one. And number two, what we see is demonic activity. I think that if there is other life in the universe, for them to come to the earth and dart around and kidnap people at night and do sexual experiments on them and such things like that, it looks a lot more like what demons do than what a highly advanced race would do. But anyways, yes, it's possible that God created them and put them there, absolutely. But what do we have what evidence do we have for that? And there's certainly nothing scriptural. The Bible doesn't talk about this. What it does talk about in the book of Job is that Lucifer and the angels come to God's, wherever God is, and God says, where have you been? And he says, from going up and down, to and fro on the earth. What does that mean? I think if there's nuts and bolts technology, it's demonic. So these people call it Luca. I could do the aliens, will be a whole other show, but yes, it would have to be that God also created them. But it would also have to be that the theory of evolution explains how we got here. And trust me, if you can stay tuned, the next show we'll do will be on evolution. It's just as ridiculous. The whole narrative they have from top down is this ridiculous. The whole thing is this ridiculous. Evolution, chicken and the egg, the whole thing is this ridiculous. Can we debate a little? Got more questions? Yeah, we will, Cody. There's actually a way for me to invite you in through Restream, and I'd be down to do that. But let me finish this point here about Luca, and then we're going to look at one last thing, and then I'll stay on for 10 or 15 minutes and debate you. Anybody wants to stick around, they can. So Luca, right? which I think has a root meaning in the same origin of light of Lucifer. Because when you find out about true Luciferian teaching, they just say he's the light bringer. He's Prometheus. He brought light to the earth. He freed man from an oppressive God. That's what the Luciferians actually believe. Meaning the single cell from which all the rest of the cells on earth descended. All living things have some most recent common ancestor. Think about humans and say horses, whose most recent common ancestor might be some extinct third mammal species. They just said we're related to horses. It's so ridiculous. Yeah, back great grandpa horse man. He started as man, and then they went down the horse way, and we went down the man way. Great man and grandpa horse man. Faster than hell. He decided, though, they wanted to be horses because they didn't like being horses. And we split off. We wanted to be humans, see? We didn't like all that hair and eating all that grass. So we just split off, man. They believe this. They literally believe that humans are related to horses, which is the same thought process that we're also related to broccoli. Yeah, they do. They think that. We're related to broccoli and horses. Great grandpa horse man and great grandpa broccoli. No, I don't believe it. I don't believe it, Cody. I don't believe it at all. I believe God made Adam and Eve in the garden. And they were probably 12 to 16 feet tall and were genetically perfect and lived 1,000 years. And that's what I believe. And other people believe that my great grandpa was broccoli. Hi, Texas. I even got Ray to laugh. It's one of the first times ever. That's awesome, brother. Texas, sweet chick. Thank you for being here. I used to do the live specifically for TikTok, and then they burned my account down to the ground. And so we're rebuilding it, but we're on YouTube now where we can do a screen share. So it's more interactive there. We still have chat, but all the articles and videos that I'm showing are on there. So it's real easy on your phone. It's like 3 buttons. Click my bio, click Linktree, which is in the middle there, and click YouTube. And then when you go onto my YouTube page, you should see that we're live. And then you could jump over to this side. There's 20 of us over here right now, and we'd love to have you. So there's discussion if B-Len is still here. We'll talk about what my plans are for TikTok down the road. But my dad was a broccoli. Hey, man, we're in a place where you can just choose to be whatever you want to. I identify as a broccoli. So this gets better. Have you guys already started thinking about how the Martian Luca proto DNA got to the Earth? This is kind of a spoiler, but do you know how they believe? What did they say earlier? This is feasible or makes intuitive sense. They said this makes intuitive sense. They said that this thing that I'm about to tell you makes intuitive sense. That's what they said. So intuitively, I haven't asked a question in a while. Cody's at 2 points, which is really good for a newcomer. Beth's got a point. Rich is still in the tank here. We got to get him out of the tank. Shadow's leading with 3. How do they propose the DNA, alien DNA, got from Mars to the Earth? That's my question. Intuitive, not scientific. Bamdall, hi. Get over to YouTube. You got 10 points. What are you talking about, Willis? What you talking about, Willis? Shadow for the win. Shadow for the win. It was frozen and was propelled here after an asteroid impact. Do you see the theme? Do you see the theme? That's exactly right. Shadow, I don't think I have enough questions. You took a 2-point lead on Cody. He might do really good in the bonus debate extra rounds. What? Who wins what? The producer's talking. I don't know what she said. How does Michael not win? He wins every other night. I don't have a lot of points for Michael on here. He always got a point, I think. I don't know. It's complicated. This is it, Michael. That'll be your first remote job, is keeping track of points. We'll try and keep them consistent. Yeah, no, I'm serious, Shadow. You nailed that one. Yeah. Cody, good. Asteroid impact. That's good. It's, yeah, asteroid impact. Yeah, no, I'm serious too. Watch this. Luca's different, requiring a lot more backtracking to a much further past. Could the last universal common ancestor be from genetic material that came from Mars? Scientists believe the first life on Earth came just 200 million years after the first liquid water, which also came here by asteroids. And Mars panspermists point out that Mars likely had surface water before Earth based on the two planets' makeups. Let's say you expect life to be flourishing whenever a planet cools down to the point where it can start to have liquid water, Eric Face says. A professor of planetary science at the University of Arizona told Salon, but just looking at our own solar system, what planet was likely to be habitable first? Almost certainly Mars. If life is going to start anywhere, it might start on Mars first. We don't know what the requirement is, if it required something super special like the existence of a moon or some factors that are unique to the Earth. But just in terms of what place had liquid water first, that would have been Mars. If pieces of Mars... Yes, Johnny, you got a quarter point. Oh, boy, here we go. If pieces from Mars were knocked off via ballistic panspermia, where an impact breaks off pieces that fly and strike another planet, they could have landed and flourished in the right puddle on Earth. Yep. You heard it here, folks. You heard it here. If I don't choose to believe what Bill Nye says about how life came to be, I'm crazy. My ideas are untenable and inconsistent. And what Bill Nye believes, what Richard Dawkins believes, is that DNA came from another planet. And this new theory is that an asteroid or some sort of impact strikes Mars in the place where the Mars Luca DNA is, and then it would project it off of Mars, off of the gravity of Mars, and it would fly across the solar system and hit the Earth. I want you to do something tonight when we're done with this live. I would like you to go outside and try to find Mars. There's apps on your phone. I'll spoiler, it's a very small, little tiny light in a huge sky. And from Mars, the Earth looks the same. This asteroid blast would have had to have been, because I used to play pool. Do you guys ever play pool, billiards? You got to hit the cue ball if you want to do a combo shot, right? This is the ultimate combo shot. You got to hit the cue ball, and it's got to hit the 8, whatever. 8 ball would be bad. The 6 ball, and then the 10 ball, whatever. You'd have to line them up. This ballistic missile, this microphone covers the Earth. Mars would have had to have been here, and the asteroid would have had to have hit Mars and broke off a chunk, and it would have had to have hit the Earth. And I want you to go look at how small these objects are and the chances in a 360-degree universe that it would have shot. So the DNA would have had to have first been put on Mars somehow. We haven't gotten to that really. And then the asteroid would have had to have hit Mars and then launch a chunk of Mars across the solar system where the DNA would have been preserved in space. And then it would have hit the Earth. I don't know if you guys have ever seen them. Like a lot of times when they hit the Earth, they burn up. It's like a thing that happens. The Earth has like a force field and it burns it up. And then it would have landed in a puddle. And this is where life came from. And if you don't believe it, you're crazy. Two Tone says asteroids hit all the time. Yes, they do. It would be the Big Bang Theory plus there be light. That means, yeah, asteroids hit all the time, but they don't hit off of Mars and shoot DNA to the Earth all the time. That doesn't happen. Sorry. Why the convoluted workaround? That's a good question, Shadow. It might just be because they like to mess with us. It really could be that they just like to mess with us. I don't know at this point. It's insanity. It's absolute insanity. An oxygen-free puddle. Exactly, Ellis. So I'm going to do a quick teaser. No, I'll save that one for tomorrow. Or not tomorrow. We're not doing the show tomorrow. Monday is the patron-only show. So the patron supporters, we do only a live show for the patron supporters where we all get to talk and hang out for hours. It's fun. It's a great time. Tuesday is my day off, but Chip, who was in here, will be hosting the VOR radio show. He's doing a class on Christian spiritual warfare, Christianity, black belt Christianity is what he calls it. Really cool stuff about prophecy and fasting and dreams and that kind of thing. So if you're into more of like learning about Christianity and how to apply it in like the spiritual side of it more, that's what he's going to be covering. So it's definitely a derivation from what I do, but we're trying to give like a full spectrum content. What? Not algorithm, production, network, whatever. Okay, so yeah, I'll save the soft tissue and dinosaur bones for the next discussion. We're gonna next show is gonna be on Wednesday. Oh, sorry, Tuesday will be Chip. Next show that I'm going to be on is Wednesday. I do. You guys should drop in and listen to Chip. He's a really amazing speaker, and his story is wild, and he's really blessed our life, and he's a guy I really trust spiritually. So again, it's about getting a different flavor than the bitter, cynical, apologetic conspiracy version you're going to get from me. So yeah, tune in for that. And then Wednesday, I'm going to pick this back up. And we are going to, I believe, cover the flood. I'm kind of trying to go chronologically here. We covered the philosophy of what they teach. And then we covered today cosmogony and the beginning of life. And then we're going to get into the flood, the fossil record, and maybe the start of the different things they believe with evolution. I don't know how long we're going to go on this or how many days, but I was going to try and cover more tonight, but we got what we did. We got what we got done. So love this live. Awesome. Thank you, Sandra. Please combine them. It's easy. Sparkle comment. Yeah. So guys, I'm going to try. Is B Len still here? If you're still here, B Len, let me know. I'm getting some feedback about people wanting me to be back on TikTok. And then Cody, get your questions ready or the debate that we're going to have. I'm trying to decide the best application for this. I am passionate about this. I love making content. I absolutely was having a fling and an absolute love fest with TikTok. And then when that happened, when they shut it down, it really, was devastating, honestly. And I've already played through the scenario of if it happens again, how am I going to take it? Trying to get back into people's For You page and trying to make new content and stuff. And I don't feel great about it, So at this point, I'm a little bit calloused and skeptical of it. So I want to embrace it, but I feel like it's like an ex-girlfriend that cheated on me, and I'm like trying to get back together with her, and like that's how it feels right now. So with YouTube, I get 3 strikes and they tell me each time. And so if I get 1 or 2, I can really tame it back down. But we're trying to get to a standalone format where I can't be shut down, because obviously what I talk about with defending God and conspiracy is really not a good mix with cancel culture. So we're trying to get away from TikTok. So I want to engage with you guys more. TikTok was my first content love. Actually, my second. The operating system was my first one, but I'm just leery because they have too much control and it's so ambiguous and subjective. We had 51,000 followers. The last 4 videos had almost 1 million views combined, and then it was just gone. And I was talking about the rapture. So I don't know, whatever. It's frustrating. So that's why, and I understand those views. TikTok is more intimate. You don't have the microphone in the way, and it's just more me talking. I used to show the iPad. The YouTube is a better format. The screen share really helps with what I'm teaching. So it's really a better format, and TikTok has more reach. So it's kind of a it's kind of a challenge to try and balance it. So this is why we're doing the broadcast on TikTok and streaming it on YouTube. That's what we're doing right now. So please don't leave us. No, I won't leave. I didn't leave. I got kicked out. Big difference. So if you're in the Discord, you guys, if you're in the Discord, that community is going nowhere. We're solid. We've got a group in there that's unbelievable. We pray, we share links, we share like funny things that are happening and animal pictures and whatever. It's my family. I love them. So join Discord. It's really cool. And you'll be kept up on all the content we're making, videos, lives, the whole thing. Is Cody out of here? Cody, are you still here? Did you want to do this debate? If not, I'm going to wrap it up. What is my handle on YouTube? If you go into the, I got to make Rich a mod. I thought you said you didn't want to be mod because you were too busy trying to read all the chats. We had our first Satan Loves You troll on the new account. That'll be fun. Yeah, Rich is back over there. He's a TikTok guy. He's like, I like YouTube, but it's confusing. I'm old. Wee. Oh yeah, that I missed it. Okay, yeah. So yeah, Sandra, go on the bio, go on the link, go on the link tree thing, and you hit YouTube and subscribe there, and make sure you put the notifications on. Then you'll know when I go live. But I can just tell you it's Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern. So if you put an alarm on your phone, we're going to be on here doing something. And if you just put an alarm on your phone every night, eventually we're going to do a show every night except for Sabbath night. So it'll be 6 nights a week. And then I'm hoping to do a show from somebody else from 7 to 9, do a coast to coast show from 9 to 11. We're hoping to just really inundate the airwaves, but that's down the road. Thank you guys for being here on TikTok. I love you guys. I'm not mad at you. I'm leery of TikTok. That's all. Okay. Could angels and demons be construed with an interdimensional extraterrestrials that are here to watch over us? There are too many sightings, abductions, etc. Absolutely, Cody. That's exactly what I believe is going on. It's interesting that you mentioned the angel things. That's a little bit more, to me, that's a little bit more subjective than the demon side, but I want to get into that. So I'll deep dive in that in a second. Got a question over here. How do I find you on YouTube? Yep, Rich is telling you, just hit the face in the corner with the backwards hat. Then link trees in the middle. It's like a thicker line of text in the middle. It's weird and broken up. But you click on that, and it's got our website and everything. So it's all in there. Okay. So anybody that wants to stick around, please do. We're just going to do some Q&A for a little bit. I'm actually going to sit back. Oh. Hey, Chloe, if you can hear me, a decaf would be the best thing ever. I shouldn't have a decaf this late, but it sounds really good. You made it, Sandra Louise. This is the bonus time. So the actual teaching is done, but it was good. It's good stuff. If you're a Christian, if you want to know about the nature of reality, if you just don't trust the system, it's all important information. So you should be notified. Once this is done, it should be available to loop, and you can pretty much watch the whole thing. Usually there's about 20 minutes of like chit chat, but I think I got into it pretty quick. Maybe whenever you guys watch the live, you could probably fast forward the first 10 minutes. I kind of catch up with everyone and try to get ready into the feel of it. So it's usually 15 minutes in. I do a 5-minute intro and then 10 or 15 minutes of small talk. So you can almost always just fast forward 20 minutes in. Okay, so Cody, I think that's the first really important differentiation or distinction that has to be made. Is the phenomenon of alien UFO sightings, abductions, these kind of things, are they real or are they not real? I tend to think that a lot of them are real. I'm also a skeptical person, so I don't think all of them are real. People have emotional trauma. They make things up that aren't there. They get terrible footage, whatever. But I've seen a couple UFOs myself. Not that I'm like the guy or whatever, but let's assume that they're a real phenomenon. Then you have to explain how this is happening, right? And are they extra-dimensional or extraterrestrial or interdimensional? It's an important distinction to make. If they're extraterrestrial, then everything we talked about tonight happened here. Sweet. Thank you, Mom. Okay. Should I leave that on there? Here you go. Message from the producer. Oh, in a bar? Shouldn't have a bar. I'm going to munch on camera. Okay. So if they're just extraterrestrial, then whatever happened here on the Earth happened there, Mars, well, now wherever this place is, some other place. Life came from non-life. Clearly, we addressed it. They have no idea how that would happen. It makes no sense. Look, information doesn't come from non-information. Okay, if you were to find a book, think about this for a second, Cody. Everybody, think about this for a second. If you came across a book. Say, for example, I'm not sitting on these like I used to. That's funny. The Bible Code 2. Okay? If you came across this book and it was in a perfectly square shape like this and it had colors and font, and you started seeing letters, you'd go, wow, this is somebody wrote this, right? You would always think somebody wrote this. If it was just random letters that didn't actually form like a cogent information stream, you might think that, monkeys typing in a typewriter wrote it, whatever. Somebody didn't know language. But if you saw that it was actual language. Oh, turn off the screen share. Thank you for saying that. Sorry, I can't tell. On my end, it looks the same. It's a great idea. Thank you, guys. Okay. Sorry, JR. And you're welcome to everyone else who is fine with not seeing me. Sorry about that. Okay. If you saw full language, you'd go, wow, somebody with intelligence that understood language made this happen. And if you start researching the DNA coding, it's a computer code that people can read. It's intelligible. And you don't get intelligence from non-intelligence. This is never going to happen. So anyways, I just honestly, at this point, I think you have to punt on the idea that it happens. That's where I'm working from. I can't defend that idea. I can't defend the idea that DNA happens by chance. It's indefensible. It's indefensible. So now you're left with, what would they be? And the only real answer to me is interdimensional, meaning something that isn't made of carbon, isn't made of the same things that we're made of. And the answer to that, like you get into the supernatural really quickly. People see ghosts all the time. They talk to their dead friends. They talk to whatever. There's demons. There's all these different kind of things. Interdimensional beings exist as well. So now you look at aliens and you go, okay, they're interdimensional beings. What are they? And I said this earlier on my live, the day live we did. What do aliens do? They come at night, right? They come and they take you out of your bedroom. They do sexual things, some sort of hybridizing program, some sort of, there's always like anal probing. I don't know what that is, but whatever. They're very sinister. And this isn't the first that we've heard of this kind of behavior. They used to be called the jinn in other lores and mythos. The incubus and the succubus, right? If you know the story of the incubus and the succubus would be the female, I believe, demon. No, the woman would be okay. The female human would be the incubus, and they would hold the seed of the demon. And then they would have a child that was a demon child. And then the succubus would be a female demon who would make a male impregnate her. So she would have a human animal hybrid, human demon hybrid. This is the story of what the aliens are doing. They mutilate cattle. It's like almost like satanic sacrifice. Their behavior is that of demons. So now if they're demons, would they not want to tell this same story? This anti-God, life came from think about this. If aliens are real, this is why this is so important. If aliens are real, okay, and they're not interdimensional, they're extraterrestrial, then yeah, there is no God. The Bible's wrong. We evolved. This whole thing, the Bible is it's made up. And the whole universe is proliferating with life, and it's an accident. It continues this anti-God narrative. And even worse than that, they are co-opting, working with popular mechanics and these other entities, these other information streams, to mainstream the idea that it's actually them that are our creators. If you watch the movie Prometheus, it's this story of how the advanced aliens brought life to Earth through this panspermic incident. And the story of Prometheus is the guy looking for his creators. He knows that his creators are out there, and he goes and he finds his creators. And they're demons. And they're demons in the movie. They're also demons. They're like the alien demons. They're terrible. And Prometheus is Lucifer. Look at the Rockefeller Center. I covered that a couple days ago. Their golden idol is Prometheus with the fire, with the light, bringing the light to man. Right? That's what Lucifer does. And that movie I referenced is Prometheus. And also, you talk about abduction, dozens and dozens, if not more people have stopped ritual alien abductions, ritual sexual alien abductions in the name of Jesus Christ. This is a thing that happens. They keep getting abducted, whatever generational curse or portal or whatever it is. They're abducted, they're tormented, they're abducted, they're tormented, like the movie Fire in the Sky, which is really a traumatic, scary thing when I watch that. And they can't stop it. How are you going to stop it? And the demons like come through the wall or whatever, and they're like, where to get you? And they're like, get out of my house in the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. And the demons are like, okay, blah, blah, I'm going to go now. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. And they just bail. It's a thing that happens. Did you see the movie, the fourth? There was Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and then there was it called The Fourth Encounter or whatever? Mila Jovovich. You remember that? Let's see if I can find that. What is it called? The Fourth Kind. Thank you. I almost don't want to find this. You ever want to not find the thing you're about to look for? Man, this movie's horrifying. I shouldn't watch this late. You guys don't watch this if you're not.
Will the others feel the same way?
This is when she's being possessed by the alien.
They'll have to proceed with extreme care. What's happened here is tragic, but remains unexplained. And worse, unsolved. Like Will. And
I don't want to listen to it. Is this the one with the, Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and turn that down. I don't know if this is the one. But basically, those are the words. When they... Oh, cool. I just went to Psycho. Great. Oh, this went dark. I guess it's around that time of the year. They end up doing the interpretation of what the demon says, and he basically says that I am God in like ancient Sumerian or something, or Aramaic or something. Yeah, exactly. Shadow says, why would an alien possess a woman and want her child, then proclaim to be God? That's just, sorry, dude. Cody, like, that's what it is. You were lied to about evolution. You were lied to about, how we came to be. You were lied to that aliens are out there because the universe is huge, of course. So there's got to be aliens. It happened here. It'll happen there. And it's demons. And they're playing demon in modern technologic terminology. Modern, it's what this is. It's it's pretending to be God. It's torturing people sexually. It's being elusive. It's working with the government. It's giving them technology. Whoa. Have you ever thought of that? Shadow, Johnny, Michael, Ellis? You ever read the book of Enoch? Wow, that was heavy. Wow. It's all the hallmarks. Thank you, Hazy Days, for saying that. You must show the people. I wish I could screenshot that. I can't screenshot it. Screenshot in my mind. That's why I couldn't screenshot it. I knew it. Yeah. I wish I could, but there we go. Thank you. Yeah, dude, that's what they did. That's what they also did. They wanted the women. They wanted to be God. They work in a clandestine way with the government, and they share their technology. That's all. I don't have a whole lot more to say about it, Cody. That's what it is. That's what it is. That's what it is. I could be wrong about everything. I could be right about everything. Nobody knows. But that's what it is. Like, I almost want to just be done with the alien discussion. They're demons. They're from hell. It supports the anti-God, anti-Bible narrative of what reality is and what creation is. They want to do sexual things to people against their will. They want to take you away and scare you. They want to be God. They want to be called the creator. They want to share their technology. That's it. That's what they are. That's the end of it. Evolution's a load of shit. That didn't happen. They're not extraterrestrial. They didn't evolve on another planet. That whole story is nonsense. They're demons. And they're demons because if a demon showed up today and was like, I'm an incubus. I like to hide under your bed. And I'm going to get you pregnant. Beep, 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 beep. People would be like, what? Stupid. You're stupid. Get out of here. They're like, I'm an alien. I've got technology. People are like, oh my God, this is legit. Somebody on TikTok says, how do I explain experience with witnesses around? No, you see, I'm saying they're real things. Whether they're angels or demons, fallen angels or demons, I'm not certain, obviously. But yeah, they're real things that people are seeing. There's some sort of nuts and bolts technology. One of my favorite theories is that fallen angels and demons can't, I guess more so demons can't possess a body without you accepting it. Like when somebody remotes into the computer and you hit allow, like, are you sure somebody's going to control your computer? And you're like, yeah, allow. And then they drive your computer. That's how demonic possession works. So one of the theories is that they're using nuts and bolts technology and basically some sort of AI and trying to download the consciousness of the demon into a physical body that's just a clone. And this is why the alien grays all look the same. They're wearing a clone suit for their consciousness to pilot this thing that they're doing. So yeah, there's some sort of real it's not flesh and blood, it's probably synthetic, maybe silicone based or something, but whatever. Cody says, thank you for the time. Thanks for giving me crazy ideas. The time of the day. Oh yeah, Cody, we love it, man. And look, we're about the truth. We believe God is the truth. We believe the Bible is true. But we're also like really dedicated conspiracy theorists. I got all the conspiracies, man. I think you're probably new to the content, but I've been a conspiracy theorist for 20 years. And I think the greatest conspiracy is the greatest conspiracy ever pulled was that the devil convinced the world that he didn't exist. In the line of Kaiser Sose from Usual Suspects, one of my favorite lines ever. The greatest conspiracy, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. And in my opinion, this reality is a battle between God and the devil, and the people that run this show work for the devil, just like when Jesus was on the earth. Jesus was taken to a high place by Satan, probably in a UFO. Maybe that'd be weird, right? Jesus in a UFO. You ever thought of that? It's an image. And he showed him all the kingdoms of the world and said, if you work for me, I'll make you ruler over all of this. And he said, no, Satan runs the world system. This is why the whole Washington, D.C. thing and who is Columbia thing that I'm making on TikTok. These are the satanic Luciferian psychos who run the world system. And they represent their father, the devil. And they exchange their life force, their time on the earth, for serving the devil for riches and fame and control. So, yeah, somebody says Masonic in there. Well, the whole Masonic thing is a vetting process to find out if you're really going to play ball with them. Yeah, Cody, be in there, man. Love to have you. We're going to cover more of this stuff. I don't want to call it stuff. Information. If you look at my bio, I have a video and I say looking for truth in a world system built on lies. And I've been doing it for 20 years now. So if I'm wrong, it's not for lack of effort. Romans, you made it, bro. You didn't make it on YouTube, though, I don't think, did you? Uh-oh, somebody on YouTube or TikTok says they've seen it. That's awesome, Cody. We're here to blow minds and save souls. That's funny. Does anybody else have anything they would like to say on YouTube? I'm certainly into bonus time over here. I'm going to check on TikTok for a couple minutes. Good night, Chloe. Yee. All right, guys. I'm going to jump off the YouTubes. And then I'm going to be on TikTok for a couple minutes just to interact. Oh my God, Mila Jovovich, that movie's so scary. Don't look at me, Mila. No. Mila, no. Mila, no. What happened there? All right, YouTube. Love you guys. All for the constructor. Good to see you. Alaskan, love you, man. Yeah, that one's too much. Good night, JR. I'm going to jump on TikTok for a couple minutes just to interact with these people. But it'll be awkward for me to be on here, so I'm going to end the YouTube stream. So, YouTube, love you. You guys are great. Thank you for your time. God bless you. Enjoy the couple days away from VOR. Oh, pick up Chip on Tuesday if you're into that kind of thing. He's teaching some really cool information, so you're awesome, man. Thanks for standing against the tide. Bill Gates mosquito. Bill Gates mosquito, get out of here. Thanks for standing against the tide. Good night, guys. That's awesome, Cody. I appreciate that, brother. God bless you. Thank you for the kind words. Yeah, get some sleep. Hey, if you get scared, if you see any aliens, Jesus Christ. No, aliens. In the name of Jesus. No. Bad aliens. Love you guys in transmission.